Welcome to Altair 4, gentlemen.
We're taking a look at the 1956 sci-fi classic Forbidden Planet, not as a space adventure, but as one of the first movies to suggest the real alien threat might be the human mind. On the surface, a polite robot, an invisible monster, and textbook 1950s space design. Underneath, a story that feels far more modern than it should. Why it mattered, and why it's still relevant. Before Star Wars, before Star Trek, before modern prestige sci-fi even existed, Forbidden Planet quietly changed the genre. This wasn't a rubber suit monster flick. This was a big studio film with color, scale, psychology, and an idea that was way ahead of its time. Instead of asking, what if aliens attack us? It asked something much stranger. What if the danger isn't out there? What if it's already inside us? Which, for a 1956 audience watching this between duck and cover drills, was a very different kind of science fiction. Forbidden Planet is still relevant today because it predicted one of the biggest themes in modern sci-fi: advanced technology amplifying human flaws instead of fixing them. Not evil robots, not killer aliens, not rogue computers, just a human, a lot like a tech billionaire with too much power. Fun fact that younger viewers usually miss: this movie is basically Shakespeare's The Tempest set in space. A brilliant scientist, an isolated daughter, a mysterious island, except now it's a planet. But the film swaps magic for technology, and that swap is important because instead of blaming supernatural forces, it blames intelligence without emotional control. That idea feels incredibly modern in the age of AI, algorithms, and tech we barely understand but use to argue with strangers online. Robbie the Robot, the first personality machine. Let's talk about Robbie the Robot for a second. He's not just a prop. He's polite, logical, funny, useful. He follows rules, understands humans, and even makes drinks. In other words, he's less dangerous than the humans in the film. Modern sci-fi keeps repeating this exact pattern. From helpful AI assistants to synthetic companions, the machine isn't the villain. The human ego is. And Forbidden Planet was already saying that in 1956. Now here's where the movie goes from old sci-fi to surprisingly deep. The monster terrorizing the crew, it's invisible, unstoppable, seemingly alien, but the reveal is the real punch. The monster is a projection of the human subconscious, amplified by alien technology. Not an invader, not a creature, just the darker parts of the human mind given unlimited power. That concept shows up everywhere today. Forbidden Planet didn't just predict future tech anxieties, it predicted psychological sci-fi decades early. Younger audiences are used to ancient advanced civilizations in sci-fi, but in 1956, the Krell concept was groundbreaking, with a species so intelligent, so technologically evolved, that they accidentally destroyed themselves. Not by war, not by invasion, but by unleashing their own unconscious impulses. That's basically the blueprint for AI cautionary tales, runaway tech narratives, and every story where progress outpaces wisdom. The design, DNA of modern sci-fi. Visually, this movie also shaped what serious sci-fi looks like. Massive underground tech labs, glowing control panels, sleek spaceships, a robot with personality. You can see its fingerprints on Star Trek, Alien, and countless modern space films. Even the electronic score, made with experimental circuits, feels closer to modern synth soundscapes than traditional 1950s film music. This wasn't just futuristic for its time, it still feels futuristic now. Why today's viewers should actually care. Here's the big picture. If you strip away the retro aesthetics, Forbidden Planet is basically a story about unchecked intelligence, isolation, technology without emotional maturity, and the illusion of control. That is not an outdated theme. That is current. We live in a world where technology scales faster than wisdom, where innovation moves quicker than self-awareness, where power is easy to build and hard to manage. This movie saw that problem coming nearly 70 years ago. the quiet genius of its message. What makes Forbidden Planet stand out is that it doesn't blame science. It doesn't say knowledge is bad. It says something much more uncomfortable. Intelligence without self-understanding is dangerous. The Krell were brilliant. Dr. Morbius was brilliant. And that brilliance became the very thing that destroyed them. That idea is arguably more relevant today than ever. Forbidden Planet isn't just an old sci-fi movie, it's one of the first films to treat science fiction as philosophy instead of spectacle. It asked the question modern sci-fi is still obsessed with: if we create godlike technology, are we emotionally evolved enough to use it? Because the film's real warning isn't about aliens, it's about us, and that might be the most modern sci-fi idea of all. If you're into classic sci-fi that still hits uncomfortably modern ideas under the retro visuals, explore more at liquidtwist.com. We're not here just for nostalgia, we're here for the truths hiding under the ray guns.